spinning. Okay, it says that we're live, so just checking my screens really quick. And it looks like everything's working. Let's go over to OBS really fast. So audio looks okay there. All right, it looks like we are live. So good morning, everybody. My name is Rich Charpentier. I'm the channel host here. And if you're new to the channel, we do a lot of drone talk and mobile tech talk. And yeah, it's mostly drone talk. First thing I want to say to everybody is I've actually started looking forward to doing these live streams every Monday. With things as strange as they've been the past couple of months, it's nice to build a little consistency and regularity in your schedule. So I was actually looking forward to this morning, and there is a little prep work before you do a live stream. So I got all the prep work done, and I was ready to hit that go live button an hour ago. But I like doing it at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It seems to be an okay time, and we usually get several folks on channel. So I'm glad to have you all following along. And if you're not watching it on live stream, that's okay, because YouTube puts it up later in the day after they compile all of it, since these things can go long. And so you can always go back and watch it afterward. So let's talk about the weekend wrap up and what was going on. So you see that I've got a Final Cut Pro window up here. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about my new class going live on Udemy any second now, literally. I submitted it last week on the 7th. It's usually 2 business days for approval, so any minute now we should be seeing the new class popping up at Udemy, and I'll be putting some information here on YouTube and also over on my Patreon channel. So I'll let you guys know when the full class is out. And we're going to talk about one thing from the class, but before we do that, I want to talk about this weekend. So over the weekend, I decided, I was having some ideas and some photographic ideas. I've been shooting professionally since 2006. So I've got a lot of strobes, speed lights, we've done portraiture, we've done really amazing weddings. And I've let some of those skills get rusty. And so over the weekend, I did some heavy duty research. Just because I wanted to break things up and do something a little different. I've been working on the class so much and working on other tutorials for other clients, I wanted to do some things for myself this weekend. So broke out the speed lights, broke out the battery chargers, had a little fun. And I've got to say, so I spent a good part of the weekend on other people's channels and learning from other people. Good morning, Marv. Good morning, Drone Technology. Good to see you guys. So yeah, this weekend I said, you know what, I want to play around with some interior shots. So I've always done a lot of landscape work and portrait work, and I've never done too much interior work. Now, Jody has done a lot of interior work because she's shot RVs for a company for over 3 years. Unfortunately, with the medical stuff going on, she took a layoff a couple weeks ago. So I was thinking about other things that we could do and practice. So I popped over to a couple of channels after doing some reading around, and I just want to pull up my other YouTube screen here. And I want to give a huge shout out to 2 really talented photographers whose classes I watched all weekend. So the first one is Rich Baum, and 26,000 subs. And he's got some awesome videos. I love his laid back teaching style. So if you would like to do some more with your interior work, if you're thinking, hey, I'd like to combine drone work with real estate work, both Rich and Nathan, who's the next one I'm going to pop over to. So Nathan Cool, talk about an awesome name, Nathan Cool. So he couldn't have been picked on in high school at all because his last name is Cool. So anyways, watched a bunch of his videos over the weekend too. Some really great tips and techniques and tricks. And it kind of woke me back up and, helped me get a little less rusty. Because at the outset, I was like, all right, I used to do off-camera lighting all the time, fully manual, didn't use TTL. And so this weekend I decided, yeah, we're going to use the speed lights and we're going to do some TTL capture, so through the lens metering. And looking through both of these gentlemen's channels helped a lot. Nathan has a couple of books out, and I'm actually going to be purchasing one of his ebooks this week because the information that I've gotten from his channel was so darn valuable. Rich Baum. I don't think he has any books. He's got several great series up here, though. He does some in-person trainings. I've seen that he's been out there with the public that way. Both of these guys together really educated me this weekend. It was absolutely awesome. Howdy, Chase. Good morning to you. So yeah, most of my weekend was spent running around, shooting inside, and the rental house that we're in, it's dark. So you've got a green screen going on behind me right now, but the interior is very dark and difficult to light. And I was just playing around. Let me see. Let's switch screens here. And so I was just playing around. One of the toughest ones was the kitchen. So this isn't done. This was just me messing with it for a couple minutes last night. So as you can see, super blown out on the left-hand side. Dark color cabinets, strange color walls. Behind me is a completely dark living room. Off to the left-hand side is a slider glass door. So you got all this ambient light pouring in, then you got all these dark cabinets, and it's just all this crazy stuff. This morning, just playing around, I took the iPhone, took a couple shots in there. Absolutely god awful. Even the iPhone's HDR with one of my still photo apps, it just came out terrible. So on the right hand side, this was playing around for a few minutes. So I did an ambient shot, so like the one on the left. I did an underexposed shot with flash to pull the windows in. And it actually went very quickly. This is not a final version. This was just me playing with it and having a little fun. Another tough room. Let's just find the other tough room. Actually, let's hit G really quick. And yeah, this room was terribly hard. So this is actually basically lit almost 100% with flash. And then you're looking into the kitchen area. Not good, but you actually can blend a couple of these things together and get something more than the sum of its parts. So flash and ambient here. Once again, not great. I haven't brushed it all down, but it was awesome to sit down and go through these online tutorials from these two guys and get some ideas for, what they're doing. They're doing higher end real estate work, interiors, and they do some pretty amazing stuff. I had stumbled across one of them last year. When I was bored last summer, I was doing some things with the drone. And I said, I would like to make a twilight shot with the drone, but I'd like to shoot it while the sun's still high. And so both these guys had a couple of really interesting videos on creating a twilight mood type shot where they're actually shooting it, in the middle of the day. And then just through a little bit of Lightroom work or a little bit of Photoshop work, they were getting much more interesting results. So I can't recommend enough, while we're stuck during this crisis, to go ahead and seek out some people for educational opportunities. If there's something you wanted to learn about or something you wanted to refresh yourself with, it's probably on YouTube, or it's probably over on Udemy or Teachable or any of these other ones. I was a long-time subscriber to Kelby Training, Scott Kelby's website, and fantastic learning experience there. I got so much out of those courses. So if you've got that free time, if you're still working on building your drone business, take some classes from everybody else. It's totally worth it. So I had a lot of fun this weekend too. And I had a lot of grumbling when I wasn't getting things to work exactly the way I wanted, just with a couple of speed lights. So later this week, when I'm having a little fun, I'm probably going to break out my Alien Bs, which are much larger studio lights, and go through and have a little more fun with this and see what I can get out of it. So there was some of my fun for the weekend. And to start the weekend out, though, I did do some work for the class. So like I said, the class was uploaded last week, but I already have another video that I want to tack onto it. But we're going to take a look at that video together here right now. So it's time to shift gears and go to drone stuff. And by the way, so I've got my little handy dandy notepad because I just wanted to remind myself so I didn't go off on too many tangents of what else I wanted to talk about. But yeah, so if you're into straight up photography at all and you wanted to learn how to light interiors, go check out Rich Baum's channel. And yes, I really want to quit. So many options. Thank you, Lightroom. You're just being such a help. All right, so if you're interested in how real estate photographers get some of the results they get with off-camera flash on their interiors, check out Rich Baum and check out Nathan Cool. And go ahead and give them a like and subscribe if you like them. Both of them, I love their teaching style. Enjoyed it very, very much. So they help make for a really fun weekend for me. All right, let's minimize that window. And now, as I said, the class has been uploaded to Udemy. So the class is on my ongoing construction progression job that I've been doing since last July. So the class will be walking students through, how did I get the job? What did I first do to start preparing for the job? And then the tools that I used throughout the job for capturing a video, for capturing stills, for building 2D ortho mosaics. So the class walks through all that. It's not going to sit down and teach you how to be the best Final Cut Pro user or Adobe Premiere user or anything like that. I wanted you to see the overall progress of the job itself from my perspective as the person who's doing this, to show them how their job site's changing over time. And so the class is like 3.5 hours, something like that. And I'll be tacking on an extra thing that I was building on Saturday. I haven't finished the final flight through for the clients because they're not quite done. They're still getting the landscaping done. They had one area blocked off the other week for some additional work, finishing off the new pavement and everything. So there's going to be another flight for them from us. So, because I want to show them from July to whatever the final date is. But in the meantime, on Saturday morning, I said, let's go ahead and lay this out. What paths I want to use, what things I'd collected. And I had some fun with this one. And I actually thought, this would be kind of a good marketing video for my clients, Clark Whalen, because it shows, the management of the build site over time. So there we go. And so without further ado, I want to show you, this is simply what I was putting together, using this as an idea for myself. This isn't going to be the final thing. There will need to be more edits, but I just wanted to walk through this with you. So in this video is my flight from July and my flight from just a few weeks ago for the end of April flight that I did for the clients. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hit the space bar here and let it play, and we'll also bring this up full screen. So this is July. Look at those concrete pads and see that fade in. That's a fade in from July to the end of April. And then we fade back out. And so we're looking at July again. So the path is pretty nice and uniform. They're overlaying each month pretty well. Now, I did have a problem later in constructing this video where I had some things misaligned. I'll explain that as well. And I'll also be explaining that in the class. But so you can see huge changes from July to end of April. And here we go around the front of the buildings as they were just starting in July. Fades right in, and I'm going to hit pause there. Over here on the left side, we've got the now open. So and they are. They're starting their leasing. So when I did my last flight over there, there was a new person who had just moved in that weekend. So we had asked the staff to advise folks of when we'd be there that Sunday, so that we didn't freak anyone out and we weren't flying over anybody. But yeah, so they're already open, and so let's continue that. But the landscaping still has a little more to do. So there's July again with those concrete pads and the roughed out structures. So nice fade in and fade out. And if I look strange looking over here, I'm just checking the chat again. And okay, so really good uniform fade ins and fade outs on this particular one. This particular orbit I did every single month for the clients. And look at that nice finish out there. Also, they've got shaded parking everywhere, and right in that shady area, you can almost make out there's a little person there. That's me. And that was just the other week. It was a hot one. By the way, it's cooling off here in northern Arizona, at least. We're going to be in the 70s all week. We've got some nice light breezes. I'm looking forward to getting some flying, and not this upcoming week, but the following week, I'm going to be back on my ranch project again, because that's going to be picking up now that they've got some more materials in and some more equipment in. So there's another flight project. So it's good to have a couple of clients, especially in this economic climate right now. So So I'm grateful to have them. And if any of you guys stumble across here and you're one of my clients, thanks for working with us. All right, let's hit that space bar again. So you get the idea here. Now, I'm pausing this right here. This is a still image. So this is one of the still photos that was shot in my series. And each flight, I would do the same exact flight path for the still photos. Now, if you follow along with this channel for a while, you know I've shown you on other videos where those stills aren't perfectly lining up, even though I marked them and I'm reflying that maybe they're off by a couple feet in one direction or another direction. That could be GPS issues. That could also be the winds, you know, the prevailing winds at the time. So sometimes these things do not line up perfect. And if you've seen my other videos on my drone deliverables, you'll probably notice in those slideshows, hey, there was a little hiccup there and things weren't perfectly smooth, but they were good enough to show that it was the same scene. They were good enough for the construction folks to understand, okay, here's the progress that our construction site's gone through. So I didn't worry too much about it, but when I'm making this final wrap-up video, I really want everything polished for it. And that includes the transitions for the stills. So I'm gonna hit the space bar again and look at that perfect fade in. We're gonna talk about that later in today's live stream as well. Look at that nice fade in too. So I will tell you right off the bat, these were not perfectly aligned. They were off by just a little bit. It was very annoying when I was pulling them into Final Cut. I said, you know what? I'm going to take these images, I'm going to throw them over in Photoshop, and we're going to deal with it. So I'm going to show you that today too, where I was actually lining things up. So here we go. We're going to hit that space bar again. And so there's the next one, concrete pad and super smooth, clean fade in for that building. And then we move on to my next flight path, which was a little bit of a problem because of changes in the job site. But so after we're done looking at this video, we're gonna grab a couple of those still images. I'm gonna throw them in Photoshop, just show you the alignment there. So this is the next part of the video. So this was one of my favorite flights for this construction location because I'm flying up, you know, the interior of the job site. And so we got to do that month after month. But several months into it, I had to change the flight path slightly. I had to change the elevation at a couple of waypoints because of construction vehicles and because of other items that were going up. So it's not a perfect and seamless transition from July to April because the flight path got moved a little bit and it was necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the spacebar again, and we'll continue down this. And I also forgot to clean up the movement on this. So like I said, this one's not done. It's me laying out some ideas for that final video for the clients. So, and I hope they like them. All right, let's hit that spacebar and continue. So you can see huge changes. Let's fade back to that. So over here on the right-hand side, we've got this storage container. And to the right of that is where the swimming pool is and the office and, you know, they've got a workout room and everything. But, you know, here we are way at the beginning. So I'm hitting that space again. And here's one of the really bad transitions that I have to figure out. Because I had to change that path so much, I've got to line those two up a little better. I'm hitting the space bar again so that we can see it finish through. And there we go, one of the end units. And then turning back around to where it is today. Flying into the sun, not great color quality. So on my last flight for it, I'm going to be shooting this probably with log. I think it's the D-Log, and then I'll be doing some heavier color grading myself. And I've got a really great tool for that called Color Finale Pro, which I bought the other year. And I'll show that to you in the Final Cut here in just a moment. All right, so let's hit that space bar again. It's just making its way back. And I also give you a little bit of July again, and we were always going out there early in the day, normally on Sundays because there was no construction crews. You didn't have to worry about getting over people or anything or advising, you know, the construction crews, hey, if you could, I'm going to be flying up this area, if we could keep everyone out of the path of it so that they're not going under it. All right, before I do anything else, because I said I'd show you that, Color Finale Pro right here. There's my color finale. All right, we're overtaxing the iMac. I've got my little pinwheel of death there. All right, so Color Finale and Color Finale Pro, there's something that I purchased from a video expert. He does a great job with some of his tools and instructionals. And several years ago, I'd gotten his Color Finale Pro, and then I also got his cinema grading for grading things. So if you're flying your drone and maybe you're shooting in log, that's flatter, and you're going to need to be able to clean that up after and enhance it and get the colors you want. And Color Finale and Color Finale Pro are great at that. While I've been doing this series for the clients, I haven't been doing any color grading because the big interest for the construction clients is what's changed on the site, not how cinematic did Rich make this. The final video that I'm going to do for them, yeah, I'm going for cinematic. We're gonna make the place pop, and we're going to include some of these old scenes to really show off how well the contractors did at getting the job completed. So yep, over on the right hand side, installed effects, Color Finale Pro, and Cinema Grade, all from the same location. And when this finishes compiling, I'll make sure to put it in the show notes. For doing the flights, what application was I using? So Tyler, I used two different applications for this particular job site. We used Litchi. So I used Litchi for plotting out those waypoint video fly-throughs that were going up through the property. We also did an orthomosaic, a time-lapse orthomosaic for the clients. And for that, I was using Map Pilot from Maps Made Easy to do the ortho models. So Litchi did all of the video flights and all of the smooth transition video flights, and it also was used for the still photos so that I could keep going back to the same exact locations month after month and getting the same or close to the same, which we're going to talk about next, getting those same shots over and over again. So Litchi did a lot of the heavy lifting here, and the Map Pilot did the heavy lifting on the model, and the clients really loved the ortho model. So you could also do a capture flight like this with, if you're an Android user, Drone Harmony. You can create waypoint missions that are reusable, just like I was doing with Litchi. If you're an iPad user, Ground Station Pro, you can make waypoint missions, but I don't like the video waypoint missions as much on Ground Station Pro. It might be my own failing, but I always feel that it's a little jerky on the transitions, but that might be something that I'm missing out on and need to practice with more. So, all right, right in the middle of this Final Cut video, we've got some stills in here. See these little clips? These are the stills. So let's go back here and let's play those again. So here we have July, first flight, and then April, where the building's done. Once again, July, so really quick, just a couple of seconds each. And we keep transitioning back and forth. And it really shows off, all right, what changed from the first time I flew this site to where it is right now. So these images, these still images, they all came out great, but they didn't come out perfect. And like I said, I think it's probably a GPS issue. You can get really close, especially if you're using autonomous drone flight with something like Litchi. It's going to bring you to where it thinks those coordinates are, but there's always been a little bit of drift, and you're not spot on. We're not using, high-grade survey engineering GPS information. I have on my iPhone, I've got a GPS program for the iPhone as well to check out the calibration of the GPS, and it tells me on the iPhone how many feet off it is. So it tells me the variance. So there is an expectation of a little bit of variance in your still photos when you're doing these types of jobs for clients. And like I said, for the progression web pages that I've made for these folks, I wasn't too particular about it. The transition between them was so close enough, it probably bothered me more than anybody else because I could see it because I worked on the files so much. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to close Final Cut Pro. And while Final Cut Pro is closing, I'm going to grab two folders here. So these are some of my folders from managing this overall project. You'll see the name on this one is 720 stills, and you'll see that the name on this one is 42620. So there are still images. I'm going to pop open the, let's just use preview here. There we go. So there is the image. This is the first still photo from July 20th. And let's go ahead and minimize that real quick. And now, there we go. This was the last flight. So these do look very similar, don't they? You can tell they were taken from almost the same exact spot. But as I start pulling things over here, some imperfections do pop up. So what we're going to do is close preview, and now we're going to open up Photoshop. So in the class, I don't get this in depth with this because it's not an editing class. It's a whole workflow class. But I thought I'd share some of this stuff here on YouTube and on my Patreon channel. So I'm just dragging this over. So I have two different screens. I've got a screen that's not being recorded on over here, and that's where I see the chat and everything. But so that's when you see me looking over there, I'm grabbing extra material. So first we're waiting for Photoshop to open up ever so slowly. I wish that I could crack this iMac open, put some more RAM in. Over the weekend, the other big project we had going on, I'll talk a little more about it afterward. Jody's MacBook Pro seemed to be on its last legs. I think it's about 8 years old, and I said to her, go to OWC and just get an SSD drive and let's see if we can bump the RAM. So she got a new SSD drive, and she now has 16 gigs of RAM in the MacBook Pro, and it is flying along again like new. I did a similar thing last year with my MacBook Pro because I don't want the new ones. So I like what I have in the ones that I have. So, all right. Anyways, here is our first layer. That is the July, and now I'm going to go over to April here. I'm going to drag April on to make a second layer. So I don't know if you're familiar or not with Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop for years. In your toolkit of what you're going to be using for your clients, if you're flying drones and doing these construction progressions, you're going to need some kind of editing software for your stills and for your video. So also in the class, I point out all of the things that you're going to need for one of these types of projects. I don't expect you to be an expert on all of those things. You know, the things that you feel weak on, that's where you're going to go out and you're going to look into other online training. You're going to do practice yourself, and you're going to learn about those things that you're uncertain of. And then you can bring more to your clients, which is pretty exciting. So I have two layers here. Over here on the right-hand side, I'm zooming my mouse around that. We have the April layer, and then I'm going to turn the eye off on that. And we have the July layer. Did you see that jump? I'm going to turn that off again. Did you see the shift? There's a slight shift going like this between those two images. So the July image and the April image are not lining up perfectly. And that's a little aggravating. So just a slight shift. Now, normally for most of my photographic work, I do everything in RAW, in Camera Raw. I did not do that for these particular flights. I did them as JPEGs because they were quickies to show the changes. Now, so these are both JPEGs, and I've got them both highlighted. And if I go up to edit, here's where I'm kicking myself in the butt over this. So from now on, when I do these things for clients, I will just be shooting straight RAW, even for their still images, and I'll be doing some slight editing afterward. I was trying to cut down a little bit of editing time because when I sit down at the end of the day and put one of these progression pages together, I've got hours and hours invested. And so the question is, you know, do we want to pretty these photos up when all they're telling a story of is the overall construction? So next time around, I'm going to go with pretty these photos up because I've got my workflow streamlined now. But if these had been DNGs, I could have gone down to auto-align layers. So I can't auto-align the layers because of the format they're in. So I just cost myself some time. Great. I'm going to turn this one off again and turn it on again so that you can see. And I'm just going to zoom this in a little bit more So definitely some shift here. And since I can't auto align the layers, I've got one layer on top of the other. So what I'm going to do is that top layer, I'm going to bring the opacity down on it. So I'm just clicking on the top layer, and I'm going to start dropping, and you can see now where they're not aligning. So I'm just moving that around a bit, and see, we've got the foundation poured right there. So this is a tough one. Now I'm going to bring that opacity back up. Let's click that off. Just a slight difference still. We're almost on it. But so as you can see, I still am not perfectly aligned with the lower layer. And you don't have to get it perfect, because the only people who are really going to notice this part are us. So you and me and anyone else who's doing projects like this, we're going to notice. I think it's right about there. And 9 times out of 10, the client's not going to notice at all because they're so very, very close. This one's not the most perfect example. We're not going to sit here and tweak this like crazy. I don't want to waste your time. But by the way, I want to zoom this back out because I found a consistent pattern between this series of shots and the April shots. So they were consistently off. I want to look over here on the side, and you will see this transition between this blue and this blue? So the lower layer was a little more to the left, and the upper layer, my April, was a little over to the right. So fortunately, it was consistent every time. So that means most likely that it was a deviation due to GPS. All right, I'm going to close this particular one. It's going to yell at me. And I told it don't save. We're going to grab another one from over here. All right, so number 4. Let's drag this one right on to Photoshop. And so there we are. That's the July again. And now I'm going to go to image number 4 for April. I'm going to drop that right on top. And I can already see that they're not aligned perfectly. So what we're going to do here, we've got April on top. And we have July on the bottom. We're going to select April. And once again, we're going to go over and slide that opacity down just to see. Yeah, this is definitely a little off. So I'm sliding this one. Let's see, right about there. Is that too far? No, it's not. Okay, very, very close. I'm looking at the building to the back. Actually, I'm going to zoom into this really quick. So I'm trying to line up. Yep, that rooftop is right about there. Let's bring the opacity back up. And very close. Once again, not perfect, but very close. Let's turn that off. Yeah, actually, that's really close. Now, what I just showed you in the last one, I got to show you this again. It's like I said, it's consistently off. Look over here toward the left. Let's zoom in and let's scroll over. And we can see the difference between the blues. So the faded one is from April, and then there's those blue skies from back in July. And you can see the alignment is slightly off again, but it's off by the same amount as the other one. So it's consistently turned ever so slightly to the right. So from now on, when I'm doing these for the clients, I will be doing full alignment on these things afterward and some minor edits just to make them pop a little more while still keeping them realistic. One of the big things that I don't want to do with these construction sites is turn this into some kind of artistic endeavor. The main reason why we're hired is to show the change and progress over time for folks who are interested in if they're on schedule with the project. So let's go ahead and turn that eye off again, turn it back on. Yeah, so aligning pretty darn good. Like I said, ever so slightly off, and we can actually see it with that little difference in the fade there. It's telling me consistently off over and over again. So not a horrible thing. let me grab my little notepad. So yeah, so I wanted to show you those alignments, and let's go ahead and let's see what number 6 looks like here. Yeah, we'll take number 6. All right. So let's close that. So we're doing this one more time just so you're getting the idea. And like I said, if I'd done this with raw files, I could have done the auto align. So I'm yelling at myself for that one. So let's drag this one over. And then that was 6. The other thing, as I pointed out in other videos here, but also in the class, I do the same flights over and over again. I do them in the same order. So I always, my image files match up with each other. So shot number 4 from July is the same thing as shot number 4 from April. And if you keep that consistency, it really makes stuff go faster for you as you're putting these together. All right, I'm dragging April in here. So now we've got the 2. And there we go. And we already know I'm going to be shifting this over to the right a little bit because that's consistently what's been going on here. So let's turn that off. Sure enough, I can already see it. I'm going to highlight the April. I'm going to drag that opacity back. And I'm looking at several places. There we go. I was actually looking at this building roof as well, lining that up. So let's bring the opacity back to 100%. Yeah, that's not perfect yet. Let's see. Yeah, I still have a little more. I need to be lighter with the touch on this here. Let's zoom it in. Maybe it'll be nicer to me at that level. All right, so I'm going to back that off again. And if you're looking in the lower left corner with me, you can see where I'm trying to align the rooftop here, right here, to get them as close as I can. That's pretty close. Look at the window here. And when I close that out, there's the open window. So maybe, just maybe, I need to move it. I'm actually using the arrow keys now to be really gentle with this. Bring that opacity back up. That's filling in nicely. The building is filling in nicely on the concrete pads. All right. And consistently off again, just by a little bit. Let's zoom back out. Let's turn that off and on. Yeah, I still have a little more to play with here and might have to do a bit of a free transform to get it. But I think you're getting the idea of how I'm overlaying these. Like I said, next go around, I'll probably have it set up for doing the raw, the DNGs, and then we'll do some auto align. So that'll probably pop up on this channel or over on the Patreon channel as well. Okay, so let's close that one down. Don't save. But so there we go. So that's, aligning those images is, not the most important part for those overall flights for the clients. But if you want to get it spot on and also set yourself up for some cinematic endings, then it might be a good idea for you. I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. I'm going to hit Final Cut Pro one more time. We're going to bring that up. So what I was saying before when I wanted to jump back to this. So over the weekend, Jody did upgrade her MacBook Pro. Very reasonable. OWC, I've been using them for years, Other World Computing. And they offer kits for, upgrading your MacBooks or other Mac material. So she had been suffering with some major problems, and I had too on my older MacBook Pro. Lightroom is just becoming an overhead hog. Lightroom crashes on older machines at this point, and they want you to have more and more and more RAM. And I don't understand why, because all of the progressive updates lately from Adobe for Lightroom haven't really changed anything in Lightroom. They move some menus around, but suddenly it takes more memory to do your editing. I don't understand why. This has been something that's bothered me for a long time. So Jody has been professionally shooting RVs for years, doing the interiors. Talk about tight places to photograph. And it was getting harder and harder and harder for her to do her editing work, because they want you to buy a new machine. So I'd said months ago, I said, get an SSD like I did. It really made a big difference. So she did the SSD and the RAM upgrade. And the machine's flying along. It's like new again. And boot up time is immediate. Even opening programs like Mail and other things, she was just struggling. It was going so slow, and it is an older machine. But with the changes made over the weekend, it was huge for her. So I'm thrilled to pieces, and now I'm wondering if I should get some more RAM for my laptop. Trying to be really frugal with the money right now, since the economic climate and the healthcare crisis. We've all got to watch our pennies and stretch them as far as we can. So, but just seeing the speed improvements on her machine, I was thrilled to pieces and wishing that I could do the same with my iMac that's sitting right here. But alas, I can't. All right, so the one other thing I wanted to show you here real quick, we are looking at an overall project in Final Cut. So this is for my drone construction progression class, and you'll see I've got several several classes here. So we did an intro for people who stop by udemy.com and see the little intro bumper for the first time. This is the video they're going to see. But what I wanted to show you, so I'm using the same tools that I use for my drone clients when I'm putting these things together. So Final Cut Pro is used often, Lightroom is used often, Photoshop is used often. So they're not only used for my client stuff, but they're also used for creating the classes. So we have the lectures 1 through, at this point, I think, lecture 16 is going to be the newest one. And that's going to be added after the class goes live. So by the way, Udemy, the way they work, you upload your course materials. When you're ready, you submit things for review with them. They usually say that it'll take 2 business days for review. I've had classes go up the same day I submitted them. And then I've had, like this one, they say 2 working days, and we had the weekend, so I'm probably being impatient, but I was kind of hoping that it would pop up over the weekend. So when the class is ready, I'll be announcing it on YouTube here. I'll also be announcing it on my Patreon channel. For the patrons, something special is really going to go up when it's released. So I think you guys will all like that. And for all of you on YouTube, don't worry, I'm going to be doing a discount coupon code for my loyal followers here. So once it's ready, I'll be letting you know as well. And like I said, for the patrons, keep your eyes open this week. Once it's approved, there will be a special post going up for you. And I'll be asking you a couple of questions as well. So I'm really excited to have this one launch, because I think that this is a very unique class, because it's less about the editing and it's more about the process of getting the job, planning the job, executing the job, and then giving your customers their final product that they paid you for. In the class, you're going to learn a lot about stuff that you're going to be exposed to things that you might not have used. Like some of you watching here today might have said, I don't know what you just did in Photoshop, man. I totally get it. First time I ever tried Photoshop was back in the early 2000s. I bought a license for it, and I promptly didn't use it because it was hard. I was a telecom engineer running Lucent Technology switches and Tel Labs DAXs and voicemail platforms. And I sat down to try to learn Photoshop, and I said, this is worse than network engineering, man. So I understand if you don't know all of these software packages. I get it. I don't expect you to know all of them, but going through the class, it might give you some ideas of these are the skills that I'm very confident with and I can sell to my clients. And these are the skills that I'm a little shaky on, so maybe I need to take a weekend like Rich did, go through some great instructional videos with some folks on YouTube or other locations, learn from them. And like I said, I'm the one guy, Nathan Cool, I am going to be purchasing his ebook this week because the content that he gave me was fantastic and so useful. So like him, I like putting up these classes too. And as you know, I do, just regular free tutorials on the channel as well. But this one has it all in one location. So I think it'll be worth your time if this is something you're looking to do in your business. So if you're looking to build construction progression jobs into your business, I think this is going to be extremely helpful. So if you're new to this channel and you're new to drone work, this class will probably not be for you. If you're still learning about your drone flight and just getting your feet wet with your drone, we don't teach any of that in here. So this is not about, perfecting your drone flight. We use autonomous drone flight in the class. But if you're just getting the basics down, this isn't the one for you quite yet. So get familiar and comfortable with your drone, and then maybe pop back here later. All right, so we're gonna scroll up and close that one up. And so I'm getting ready to close this up. Like I said at the beginning of this one today, I'm actually looking forward to these now. So I hope you guys are enjoying them. I'm seeing consistently that people are popping up on channel, but then they're also watching it afterwards. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate that that you're enjoying these. And you can always type in the chat over there. So I'm happy to answer questions when I see them pop up, but I'm not always looking over there. But with everything that's going on with the medical crisis, concerns about the economy, you have to do some things to keep yourself mentally healthy, right? So, having projects, remembering what day it is. I've talked to friends and they're like, I don't know what day it is anymore, because they were normally going into their office. They were normally going into their studio. They were normally going into their frame shop. And they started losing track of the days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I work on my own, and I work remote a lot. I don't engage with people a lot, and I miss engaging with people myself. So it's gotten even more extreme now with everything that's happening. And so having kind of a regular set schedule, doing these Monday ones, really makes me feel like I'm starting the work week. So I need to thank everybody who's coming along and watching this. Thank you for being part of my regular week now. So there we go, Marv. Yeah, thank you. I'm a beginner. So, well, excellent, Marv. You can start playing with some of these ideas. When you start playing with the autonomous flight applications, there will be some frustrations. There's a learning curve with all of this, and I've been doing the learning curve myself. And yeah, so I'm glad that this is helping folks out. It helps me out too, because I get to talk through as I'm talking on camera, and as I'm doing these projects and sharing these projects, I'm coming up with more and more ideas of the next project. So I already let these clients know, because I know that they build a lot of multifamilies, said to them, let me know the next project in the area I want to fly for you again. So we'll be doing some more of these and some more classes with them, because I'd like to use a couple other tools. So, in the bag of goodies, Litchi is a big one. Ground Station Pro, Map Pilot, Drone Harmony is starting to play a role, because I want to do some more really fancy 3D modeling, and I think Drone Harmony is going to be the one to get to the more high-end 3D modeling. And I'll explain that in an upcoming regular video on YouTube as well. All right, everyone. Is Litchi safe for the Mavic 2 Pro? Absolutely is. I use Litchi with my Mavic 2 Pro all the time. I also use it with the Mavic 1. Litchi is also compatible with, I think, every one of the Phantoms out there, the newer Phantoms. But absolutely love Litchi. And I love programming those flight routes. You can actually tell Litchi if there's signal loss, that it can continue the flight route and do its return to home. So Litchi is fantastic for it. More projects means more money. Yes, I will take additional income. But like I said, I've got a lot of friends who've been laid off right now, and Jody's been laid off. So it's been a challenging time, and I'm sure you guys are going through it too. But whatever we can do to add to feeling normal, we should do. And that's what I was trying to say earlier. Having you guys come and hang out on Monday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning, starting my work week out, it's becoming a good ritual for me, and I like it, because it's really setting a divider, and it's setting my goals for this week, so that next week I can tell you what I did. So, all right, with all that said, I'm going to hop off of here, because now I need to start into the next project and some more video editing. I hope you guys have an awesome start to the week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Feel free to drop comments and inquiries. Like I said, when the class hits, I'll be announcing it over on Patreon, and I'll be announcing it on regular YouTube as well. And I hope you guys check it out because I think you'll enjoy it. See you next week, and you'll probably see another regular video here somewhere in the week, just not a live stream. Okay, have a fun one. We'll see you again soon. Now I get to hit 4 different buttons to make the stream stop. See you again. End the stream.